So Yulia, how did you get your job? What is the most common mistake that you find sellers make?
I'm going to do the mindfulness thing and yoga.
What would be one piece of advice that you would provide them based on what you currently see with other sellers? Hello from Barcelona. I'm visiting Barcelona as part of the Amazing Days conference where I'm speaking about, of course, Amazon in the Middle East. But I wanted to include you, and I wanted you to meet all of the amazing service providers that are here also in Barcelona so that you can learn the right tips if you want to get started on Amazon. Before we get started, make sure that you subscribe to the channel, you leave a like, and you leave me a comment or a question in the comment section below. You'll be able to find all of the information about each and every service provider that I'm interviewing in the description box of this video. Make sure that you follow them and make sure that you find out a little bit more information about them. Let's get started. So Yulia, how did you get your job?
Well, it was a funny situation. I quit my previous job. I decided to do this whole, I'm going to meditate, I'm going to do the mindfulness thing and yoga and all of that stuff. That didn't really work. Corona started and all of my old customers, because I've been in the sourcing business for 18 years, all of my old customers started getting back to me and saying, please help. We have huge problems. Supply chain in China is completely broken. We need help finding manufacturers in Europe and other places. So that's it. How it got kind of started, and I needed to start hiring the first people. So my job kind of appeared out of nowhere. God bless, because I would not have been able to do the mindfulness thing for more than 3 days probably. Yeah, and that's how it went. And now we're almost 50 women in the company, and yeah, and we're growing.
Well, I started in e-commerce 12 years ago. My current job is organizing events and providing quality content to a lot of people. And it actually started 2016, I think, when a lot of people were asking me how to get into e-commerce, how do I do my business, how do I sell online? And I was like, yeah, guys, I'm tired of explaining all this every day to a lot of people. Why not doing a big conference and gather everybody and, invite my partners? Because during that time I was very well engaged with a lot of service providers, a lot of people in the e-commerce field. Then 7 years later, we have the largest organization for this in Bulgaria, and most probably we are already well known on the Balkans.
I would say Europe.
Yeah. I pushed a little bit the last few months so I can get well known in Europe. And Amazing Days is a project that we started last year. We already have 3 events, one in Sofia, one in Bucharest, and now in Barcelona. And it's going very well. People are happy, and this makes me happy.
I've been working in the e-commerce space for 3 years now. Before that, I was doing investment management. And I got to COVID and basically wanted a bit of a switch up. To be honest, I wanted something a bit more exciting, something I was passionate about, a bit more dynamic. And at the time, I moved out of London and kind of found my way into the sector. Yeah. And then over the last 3 years, I've been working with various sellers, various companies, consulting across a few different topics, and ultimately found myself doing reimbursements just through the network, really.
Yeah, so I started the company in 2015 after a friend of mine was selling on Amazon and asked me to help him with advertising. And I started consulting, started helping people in Facebook groups, got clients from that. And then in 2016, the next year, I started hiring people and just scaling up an agency from there. So it was very gradual kind of growth trajectory.
Back in the COVID times, a team of friends knew an owner of an Amazon seller account who struggles with current systems, and we gathered together and made Noverstock.
Yeah.
As a product manager of Noverstock, we were able to get all the issues that they're facing and create a software that actually helps them succeed and maximize their profits.
So as a sourcing specialist and the founder of Signify, what do you find is the most common maybe sourcing mistake that sellers make when they get started on Amazon?
Well, if we would have about 2 hours, I would be able to actually open up properly on this topic. But one of the biggest mistakes is that they do not contact enough manufacturers. Because a lot of people come to us and they say, oh, I've been talking to 3 manufacturers. I've sent them an email a month ago. And then I ask, Okay, 3? No. You need to contact 30 in China, 60 outside of China, and you need to constantly reach out to them, right? And plus, every country has a specific way how they prefer to answer the inquiries. So yes, you need to reach out to a lot more manufacturers than people think. Then it's like, going to a supermarket and I have 50 types of cheeses, I can choose anything. When it comes to sourcing, especially outside of China, that is not the case.
So it's not like, oh, they need me. No, you need them.
21st century, we have supply chain is absolutely in mayhem right now, absolute chaos. You can see with large corporations this as well. Like Intel right now is building an 18 billion euro factory in Germany, Intel, to produce all of the chips, so they don't need to rely on China or Taiwan or anyone. So yeah, absolutely, supply chain is broken. You need to make sure that you have hybrid supply chain, and that you need to have different options when you're going a step further with your product sourcing. In addition, the demand currently for manufacturing is a lot higher than what the manufacturers can offer. But those are the issues that you will face, especially in certain countries. When you go to China, when you go to Turkey now, Germany, Poland, couple of industries in US as well. So you need to look by the industry, by products, and because again, demand, supply, economies,
Probably lack of research. They don't make a proper research of what they are going to do. Sometimes they jump on it like crazy people, which are like, oh, I see this is working, so it will work for me as well. Then the second mistake I see is if things are not going in the right direction, but they're in love with their product or whatever they're doing, they keep pushing. They don't observe the situation. They don't see that sometimes they need to change the product or change the model or change, the market or whatever. They need to change something, but they don't do it. They just keep pushing something that is not working very well. So what we're usually saying, the car is broken, but you still keep pushing it and putting gas in it. So and it's burning money. So if I can advise somebody what to do is be observant in the process, and if it's not going well, just switch to something that might be working better for you.
Sometimes going too fast too quickly is a mistake. So the opportunity on Amazon is infinite, right? There's so many marketplaces and new consumers, new bodies, new eyes to get your products in front of. It can be really, people are really motivated and stimulated by the idea of expanding into new markets, but sometimes they make the decision too quickly, and the business isn't quite ready to make that step. So I think it's important to firstly just establish yourself, make sure firstly your product is quality, your listing is great, your imagery is great, your description is great, and really knuckle down in the first marketplace. Once you've then established yourself and you have a bit of a foothold, then think about what the next step is. And for a lot of people, the next step is another Amazon marketplace. Expansion in this day and age, in my eyes, is a bit less risky than product launches. I think in the past, product launches were like the go-to when people thought about growing. Now product launches, they take a long time. You've got lead time from China. It can be expensive. More product launches fail. Expansion is actually a safer, easier, and usually a more reliable way to grow your business. So expansion, definitely name of the game, but not too quickly.
I think one of the fundamentals would be starting with a product offering that's so strong that people who are prospective buyers or shoppers, they have a hard time saying no to it. I think a lot of Amazon sellers or people who start in e-commerce, they kind of lack the imagination to think outside the box, to use a kind of like overused term, but they just think, oh, if I source this product and my margins are this much and I can build all these mathematical models that will help me approximate where the profit will be, then it should be fine. But there's actually a lot of unknowns in e-commerce. Obviously, like COVID, supply chain shock, taught us all a lot about that. But if you have a really compelling offer and a really compelling product, that's actually going to take you much further than just having all the numbers right, because the numbers will change. Your margins will shift depending on marketplaces too. Of course, think outside of just Amazon, because hopefully you'll end up there one day. But generally speaking, just having an offer that's so compelling that it sells itself is really the the biggest piece of work that should go into it, I think. Someone said it to me like this once. It's kind of like having a hot dog stand, but the best thing you can have is a bunch of hungry customers who are like willing to buy what you have, versus having like the world's best hot dog. Like that's not actually that important. And yeah, you can generate those hungry customers by having a great offer, I guess, is my mixed analogy.
That's perfect.
What I see is actually they don't know in depth what are the costs related to an order. Let's say they know the delivery price of the product, but they don't actually calculate the commissions, the fees, and they end up actually losing money, not generating any profit. So that's a common thing that I see in many sellers.
So learn how to calculate.
Exactly, and optimize your shippings, optimize your fees, and get the most of the profits.
As you know, Yulia, most of the viewers of our channel are e-commerce entrepreneurs, maybe starting out or already selling on Amazon.
Yep.
So we're gonna, we wanna give them advice. You are also an Amazon seller. You work with Amazon sellers every single day. So what would you say is, if you were to start out all over again, what would be something that you would avoid, or maybe a mistake that you made, a lesson that you learned?
I would say I didn't do enough research when I started, to be honest. But also, to be honest, we started off on Amazon in 2014. There were no tools, no service providers, no nothing. Currently, you have so many tools that are for free. You have people with whom you can consult. So one of the things that I would do if I were to start right now, I would definitely pay some experts to speak for an hour to them, or go to different types of events, to speak to other sellers, to speak to industry experts, and try to get as much information out of them as possible. So don't be afraid to come to us, right? To any of us, if you see us at any events, because proximity to experience and expertise is absolutely priceless. Some people charge 5,000 euros for like a day of consulting. When you go to the events, you paid 50 euros, 100 euros, 250, and you get to talk to that person and get all of the information. So this is what I would do. I would attend more events, meet other sellers, try to become part of communities, and do more research on what are the major problems.
Probably first of all, I would go to educate myself very well in the field of sales, maybe in the field of customer support, because this is one very important issue and part of the business. I also started with a big mistake. I didn't make good research for my first product, so I went down for like 3 months, so everything died with the first product. Nowadays, I will be thinking about not open only e-commerce, and this will be a shock for your audience that I might think to open a small physical location, because this is something very important people should know. Online, your customers, the people that are visiting your website, they're visiting and they're leaving, but they're not giving you the reason why they're leaving. And this is very hard. You need a lot of tools, or analytics, or some other tools. I don't want to mention any names, but you need, and you are clueless. Sometimes you are clueless why they're leaving your website. And if you have a small physical presence somewhere, clients are coming in, and if they don't like the product, if they don't like whatever you're selling, they're telling you, I don't like it because of this, because of that, and nowadays, in my opinion, it's kind of cheaper to open a physical location and to have this feedback and to have a direct contact with your customers, with your potential customers. So probably this is, but it also depends on the market, also depends on the region. So, don't take it like something that you have to do, but it's something that I might do, just to test everything. And of course, my favorite one is always, when you get yourself educated enough, go to digital products or something that you produce once and you can sell in infinite times.
Make sure you're doing your auditing. So numbers are vital, especially at the moment. Everyone's laser focused on profitability rather than sales. So there's a real emphasis at the moment on making sure that people understand their numbers. And part of that is to make sure that you basically live in your profit and loss statement. So Amazon, as a huge company with millions of sellers on the platform, do an all right job themselves, but there's definitely holes and cracks in their systems and processes.
Yeah.
So as a seller, especially with reimbursements, it's important that they have some kind of SOP in place and someone dedicated to making sure that anything that is falling through the cracks is picked up to ensure they get the maximum amount of money back.
Yeah, immediately start to figure out where you can delegate and elevate in your business and get to the next level. I just learned this from firsthand experience, running an agency, but the things that you are very good at, it's okay if you start to let those go and let other people take the reins, even if at first they're 80, 90% as good as you or what you perceive to be, how good you are, because in actuality, you're not as good as you think you are. That's another humbling lesson I'd like everyone to learn. And you'd be amazed by what people can do when you empower them and give them the tools and motivation to do it and say, hey, this is our mission, this is the direction we're going. They will come to very interesting conclusions by themselves. And it took me far too long to do that. And I see it with a lot of our current clients where they're like, oh, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. I can't let this person do this. You hire this person, let them do their job and let them excel.
So I would relate to the last answer that I get. Get to know your fees and commissions, calculate how much you can have in profits, and then research your products, whether your competitors are really on the same level as you, and that whether you can generate any profit, because otherwise you're just losing money and make small amounts of profits. So that's a thing that really helps sellers choose the products and then focus on marketing, ads, and keywords.
Yay! That's it. Good. That's all I want. That's all I want. That's all I want. Thanks, Julia.